Fandoms Anonymous.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandoms Anonymous, guys. We're here today for our spoilers review of Tra-La-La Captain Underpants. Man, this movie was freaking hilarious. Now, I'm old school. I read Captain Underpants when the books first came out back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Me and my man Paul, shout out to my man Paul Husband, big supporter of the Fandoms Anonymous community organization. We read these books where everybody else was reading, the series books and Macbeth and the Shakespeare plays and all that crap. We were reading Captain Underpants, each and every last volume and chapter and issue that ever came out during our time. So we love this movie. So let's get into this movie. As always, I have notes. As always, I have notes when I go see a movie. So we got the story of George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George Beard is played by my man Kevin Hart. Harold Hutchins is played by a guy I've never heard of named Thomas Middleditch. Yes, that name is kind of funny. Sorry, Thomas. That's a funny name. Along with some very funny names in this movie. So in the original book, the story is basically George and Harold create Captain Underpants. They in their treehouse. They write comics all the time. They're always pulling pranks at school. And this movie really stuck to what the original book did. But what they did in this movie was add some other flavor to it to make it fuller. Like, you guys like pepperoni pizza. You get a good pepperoni pizza from someone, you're like, this pizza is going to be good. But sometimes there's nothing wrong with putting a little flavor on the crust, adding a little seasoning, little red pepper flakes, maybe adding some sausage, and it makes the pizza a more well-rounded pizza. And that's what they did to this movie, because what they did was they created a storyline in the beginning. I can't remember if this was actually a part of the original Captain Underpants books, but they added a storyline in the beginning where it was kind of like a Superman Krypton type vibe, but it was Captain Underpants coming from a world where everybody wore underpants. He had powers. They sent him to Earth because the planet exploded. So I like what they did there. At first I was like, wait a minute, this wasn't in the book. But I realized that we got to catch the kids' attention, because movie is for the kids that are living right now, that are people that are children. There's children, they're everywhere. In the theater when I was there, they were everywhere. There was children everywhere. But even though these books are old, this movie is for this generation. So we get into the story just as it goes along in the books. Like I said, there was some great animation in this movie, great acting roles. We get to Mr. Krupps, and we get to the I gotta get because the elementary school name is just crazy. Wait, it is storming outside. I just heard the thunder back there. Protect me, Hal Jordan. But we get to Jerome Horowitz Elementary School, and in this we get Harold and George. They're always pulling pranks. And Mr. Krupp, their evil principal, says, one day I'm going to catch you guys, and then you're going to be in trouble. So they pull pranks, never get caught. Until one day, it was on a Saturday at 8 a.m., Mr. Krupp has them come to the school for an invention day. And they want to pull a prank on Melvin, which was the snitch of the class. Which, surprisingly, I did not know Jordan Peele was the voice of Melvin until I looked it up while I was in theater doing a little bit more research. And I was like, whoa, his voice was very different. I couldn't tell him apart. Of course, I could hear Ed Helms. Of course, you can hear Kevin Hart, but I could not pull the Jordan Peele out of character Melvin. So I was like, shout out to my man Jordan Peele. You really got me there. It's a movie that's set apart from a lot of different other movies. It was made by DreamWorks. And like I said, it comes from these books that came out back in the day, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But the story progresses. They're at the invention day, and it's boring. Everybody's sleeping. George and Harold are like, we got to do something. So they tinker with Melvin's toilet invention that, gives you toilet paper, plays music, all this type of stuff. And they cause it to just shoot toilet paper everywhere, and the kids are having a good time. But what they don't know is that Melvin, who's really a snitch, has this turtle invention that's also sidetracks as a nanny cam that caught them on camera. So what Mr. Krupp says, I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to put you guys in separate classes, which means you won't be close to each other even though they live next door. But in a child's mind, it's like, you're going to put us in separate classrooms. That's just going to separate us forever. but they still live next door. But it's a gotta think child's mind. So they come up with the idea of we got to do something. So they try to go get the Tattletale Turtle, which was the name of it, and Mr. Krupp catches them in the office. While they're in the office, they realize that Mr. Krupp has a drawer, all of their stuff that he confiscated from them. I'm talking about all their toys and knickknacks and gadgets, everything. In there was this 3D hypno ring that came from a cereal box that Georgia never got a chance to play around with. It was just all of their Captain Underpants books that they had written were in the man's drawer as well. So he catches them in the office. They end up hypnotizing him and realize that they actually works. And they did a great job of the animation in between, with the whole hypnotized factor. And they said from now on you will be Captain Underpants. And from that moment, Mr. Krupp became Captain Underpants. And the movie took off to a whole different level. It became hilarious. And it got to the point where, because Mr. Captain Underpants is so kind of immature and irresponsible, that he just ruins a lot of stuff. And they realized that it's not as much fun as having Captain Underpants around, because it's causing a lot of trouble, not just to them, but to people around the city, everybody. So they realized we got to do something about this. We got to get rid of Captain Underpants. And they end up destroying the hypno ring, which they thought broke the hypnosis. So Mr. Krupp kind of goes back to normal. And before that, we get this teacher that comes in named Professor P, or as we like to call him, Professor Poopy Pants. And Professor Poopy Pants is basically a mad scientist who took the science teacher job because the science teacher said he wasn't going to come to the invention day on that Saturday morning, which is not a school day, so Principal Krupp fired him. Like, why would you fire a man? The man said he wanted to spend time with his family, so I fired him. So that was crazy, but that showed you how evil Krupp is. I want to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. They do a great job of bringing the art from the books into the movies. Like the way everybody looks, they have this kind of like this certain character remind you of kind of like Dilbert, like how some of the kids look and how some of the people look, especially the eye patterns and all of that good stuff. They do a great job of bringing that artwork into the movie. Basically, especially with them explaining that storyline as far as the Superman Krypton feel, I grew on it as the movie progressed. I was like, okay, you got to give something to start it off, for those who haven't read the books. And that's the thing. There are people who have not read the books who would not have been able to go straight into this movie with some type of something to pull them in. So, good job to DreamWorks for doing that. They created a story outside of the story, and that's always good when you're adapting a book into a movie. That's always good to do. It shows the friendship dynamic of different races. If you notice, George is African American, Harold is Caucasian, and they were good friends. And that's a good thing to show in a children's movie these days, to show that you can be friends with people no matter what race they are. So kids, if you're watching this, it doesn't matter what race you are. It's always good to befriend people that are good people and that can be good friends. It's a good thing to do. It's just, oh man, and some of the quips in this movie were hilarious. Even when Captain Underpants was disguising himself as Mr. Krupp, trying to act normal and be a principal, he has this big whoopee cushion symphony with all of the kids in the class, which was hilarious, and the children loved it. It was just a good movie. I truly enjoyed it, especially being somebody who was there when these books first came out. Now, one thing about these books, and I'm going to get to Professor Poopy Pants, is when they were developing a certain part of the story, they may have gotten a little bit dangerous. They would do what they call a flip-orama, which means in each book, and this was exactly in the book, it would be something where you could flip through, and it would just have this image flipping through, because what happened is Professor Poopy Pants wanted to get rid of the part in children's brain that made them laugh, or people, period. So he found out that Melvin, who was the snitch, did not have that part of his brain. So he took Melvin's invention, was the big toilet, and had it go all around the city, zapping everybody's brains to get rid of the part that made them laugh. And I thought that was just cruel and unusual, but it was part of his big plan and big decisive plan to get rid of laughter, because he hated laughter. And they were getting ready to stump Captain Underpants with this boot with these metal spikes up under it. And it was like, wait a minute, Flip-O-Rama. And like I said, the Flip-O-Ramas actually used to be in the book. So congrats on bringing that out. I'm glad you guys brought that out and put it into the movie. I just truly enjoyed the movie. And then the fact that they took something to give him real powers. Now, I'm a big person. If you're going to do something in the movie, you got to stick to it. Now, all throughout the movie, anytime water touched Mr. Crook or touched Captain Underpants, they turned back into the opposite. And once they threw Captain Underpants in the big toilet of all that liquid, and you could kind of counteract it and say it's radioactive, why did he not turn back into Mr. Crook? And I'm going to go ahead and stick with the fact that the liquid was radioactive from the cafeteria food waste bin. So I'm going to stick with that, but I'm big on stuff like that. Like, you're going to do something, stick to what you said you was going to do. But other than that, I truly enjoyed this movie. They ended up defeating Professor Poopy Pants, and the bonds of friendship continue to go on forevermore. I enjoyed Captain Underpants, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. And I hope you enjoyed watching my spoilers review. Definitely glad, especially glad I got this pop, man. This is just too cool. I don't think I want Professor Poopy Pants, though. I might leave him alone. But I'm big on not collecting stuff in order. I just like what I like and I buy it. So glad you guys enjoyed the spoilers review. If you did, drop something in the comments below. Tell me what you thought about Captain Underpants. And were you one of those people like me that read Captain Underpants back in the day when it first came out? But guys, if you don't know who we are, we're Fandoms Anonymous. That's FANDOMS ANONYMOUS. We're all over social media. We're right here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell for future videos. Also head over there to Facebook and join our Facebook group for future discussions. And also hit the like on the Facebook fan page. Also go over to Instagram where we're at Fandoms_Anonymous17, and over there to Twitter where we're at Anonymous_Fan17. Got a lot of stuff coming up on the Fandoms Anonymous YouTube channel. Don't forget to check it out. Guys, as I always say, if there's anything else, thanks for watching and have a good one.